buddy. Hi, Susie.
Hi everyone, it's Jung here for Hip Kit Club, and today I'm sharing a process video of this layout that I made using the February 2019 Hip Kits. It's also Sketch Friday, so I will be working on this sketch here. And I was also challenged to reverse the sketch, so instead of having the title on the bottom and the photos at top, I'm going to have the title on top and the photos on the bottom. This cut file is going to be one of the March Hip Kit Club free cut files. If it's not available on the website yet, it will be soon, so keep a lookout for that. I really like when cut files are big enough to easily back with pattern paper, and so I'm just going through the pattern papers from the February kits and trying to decide what I want to back this cut file with. I kind of have a really girly, florally pink color scheme in mind, so I am trying to keep to that color scheme. And I am not sure what pattern paper I want behind which letter yet, so I'm cutting all the pieces big enough to fit behind the heart so that if I change my mind and move things around, it will be big enough. As you can see, I'm pretty indecisive, so I like to cut the pattern paper into squares easily manageable to move around and decide where I want things to go. Once I decide which pattern paper I want to go behind which letter, I do the tracing technique. I just trace around the letter and then cut it out with my scissors, and I'm not going to show you all the letters because it can be a little time consuming, so I'll just show you how I do this one. Since the letters on this cut file are relatively big, it did not take me very long at all. I just got a little hung up on the I. You see that it's not enclosed all the way where the G and the C is, so I tried to cut that part a little bit nicer than I normally would. So after I cut out the letter, I just glue it to the back of the cut file with liquid glue. And I am just finishing my last letter up here. And then I put my acrylic block on there to let it dry while I glue my next letter. The photos that I'm using are going to be the design team announcements. I've been on them 4 times now, and so I'm going to be scrapping all 4 design team announcements. And this is kind of where I got my color scheme from. The first design team announcement that I was on, it was sort of a mint color, and then the other 3 are pink, and so I wanted to go with that aqua blue and pink color scheme. So now I'm just trying to decide how I want my background to be, and now that I kind of look at that pink and white stripe, I kind of like it, but I don't end up going with it. Right here I decided I wanted to do a white background, and I thought maybe I would do a little bit of a mixed media. So I'm going to be using some Distress Oxides and my ink blending tool. And I believe we got these Distress Oxides in previous color kits. I'm using Cracked Pistachio and Worn Lipstick, I believe. I'll be putting the Cracked Pistachio behind the heart, and I'll be using the Worn Lipstick everywhere else. And I'm going to be pulling my cut file back and forth on top to see the progress that I'm making. And I really like how that green makes the heart of the cut file pop out. I decided to use my ink blending tool because I just wanted a soft look. I thought it went really well with the title, the magic title, and I just wanted to make it look soft and magical, I guess. A tip when you're using ink blending tools, you'll get a more seamless ink blend if you use sponges that are already seasoned. And I mean seasoned as in you've used them before and they're saturated with ink. You can see that my pink sponge was a new sponge, and so you can see the outline of the sponge. And normally that would bother me, but I knew most of it was going to be covered up by the cut file, so I didn't worry about it too much. Okay, so one great thing about distress oxides and distress inks is they are activated by water. And if you spray them with water and kind of blot it up with a paper towel, you'll get like a bleached effect. And I thought that was really pretty, and I thought, again, it went with my magic cut file title. To enhance the magical ethereal look of my background, I decided to add some paint splatters, and I'm going to be using 2 of the acrylic paints that we got with the February color kits. I'll be using the pink and the green Prima Opal Magic paints, and the colors just worked perfectly with the Distress Oxide colors that I picked out, as well as the colors in my photo, so I really love how this one turned out. I really love the way mixed media looks on backgrounds. We have some very talented members on the design team who do mixed media so well, and I would definitely be doing more mixed media on my backgrounds if the warping didn't bother me so much. That's probably the perfectionist in me. What about you guys? Does the warping bother you at all? To avoid some of the warping, I let my project dry under a heavy 12 by 12 album. As you can see, it's still a little warped after it dried, and I'm using my paints to try and keep my project flat while I work on it. I'm mounting my title with foam squares, and I'm using my trusty T-square ruler to try and get it as straight as possible. And then next I'm going to be attaching the photos to the layout, and I'm going to be using foam squares for those as well. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I made this layout for Sketch Friday. And in case you aren't aware, in the Hip Kit Club group Facebook page, a new sketch is added every Friday, and you guys are encouraged to be inspired by the sketch and add your project to be entered into a drawing for a gift certificate. I will leave a link to the Hip Kit Club group Facebook page below. I'm so sorry about the brightness here. I just decided that I wanted to use that blue floral Cartabella floral paper for the background instead of the black and white striped. You can see this is the paper that I fussy cut some of the flowers out of, so I'm just trying to trim some of the jagged edges before I attach it to the layout. And I decided I wanted to distress the bottom of the white cardstock, and I'm just going to use the edge of my scissors to rough it up. I'm also going to use my fingernails to kind of add a little bit more distress. I don't know if I've mentioned yet in this video or not, but I fussy cut a lot of the flowers from the 2 Cartabella pattern papers, and that's what you see to the top and the right. I took my layout off camera and did some machine stitching on top. And I also wrote a little bit of journaling on the label that I fussy cut from a Pink Fresh Studio pattern paper. My journaling says, "I'm so honored to continue on the best DT ever, #HKC. And now I'm going to start working on embellishing the layout. I'm just going to kind of arrange some of the fussy cut flowers. And once I decide that I like the way things are looking, I'll start attaching the embellishments to the layout. On some of the flowers, I will use foam tape, and then some of the flowers I'll just use double-sided tape and stick it straight to the layout. I like to give my layout some dimension just to give it a little bit more interest. Aren't the flowers on the Cartabella pattern paper so pretty? As soon as I saw the pattern paper, I knew I was going to do some fussy cutting, and I wanted them to be on a layout as embellishments. I tried fussy cutting them both ways. I started cutting them right up against the edge of the flowers, but it got pretty difficult because some of the flowers overlap and I didn't want to cut off any pieces. So then I also started fussy cutting them with a border around them. And those are the flowers that I decided to use on this layout. With the exception of the paint splatters, which are from the color kit, everything on my layout so far is from the main kit. All the embellishments are from pattern paper, even the title, the flowers, the journaling label, they were all from pattern paper. Of course, I am going to be adding a little bit of more embellishments from the other kits, but it's amazing how good pattern paper can get you on a layout. So I'm really loving how my layout is looking so far. I really love it when I can take part in this sketch challenge. The ladies are also creative when they come up with their sketches, and I get so inspired by them. Sometimes I take them quite literally, and sometimes I just take a little inspiration. My layout is looking as embellished as I usually like it, but I did add a couple things. I added that Pink Fresh Studio ephemera label, and then I'm going to add a Cartabella Bloom and Grow chipboard sticker. And after I finished filming, I decided to add just a few more things. I added some Cartabella brads and then some of the Pink Fresh Studio puffy flower stickers, which you can see in the photos following. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Hip Kit Club website for these awesome kits. The March 2019 kits have already been revealed, and I will leave the links for the Facebook group down below. Have a wonderful day. Bye!